Let's go off and talk about The Neighbors then. Tell us about the audition process. What was that like for you?
Um, well, it. I remember reading. I think I had the script. I had the whole script, and I thought it was really good. I thought it was really funny. And I went in, and the guy in before me was one of the actors on SpongeBob SquarePants. So I thought, there's no way I'm going to get this, but I'll go in anyway. And I'm so glad I did. I think Dan Fogelman was in the room, and the casting director is a wonderful lady called Susan Vash, who I've known for some time, and Susan brought me in, and it just seemed to work for them. And I remember thinking it's a really funny script, and I thought Dan seemed to be a really smart guy. And then I think I had to go back a couple of times, and then there were sort of network tests and things like that, which is what you have to go through, if you for a series regular role, typically. And that's always a nerve-wracking process, because it's like about 3 or 4 different meetings or, sort of tests. But this was quite pleasant because they did it on a set rather than sometimes you'll go into like a boardroom with a room full of suits and you'll try and make them laugh. It's tough. So the fact that this was on a sound stage, I think we were on the Modern Family set. So we filmed it, and then the network saw it from there, and they could make a decision from there, which, as an actor, was a much nicer process than waiting in a corridor with 2 or 3 of the other actors that you're testing with, and then sitting in a sort of darkened boardroom trying to make TV executives laugh. It's a tough process. So this was quite pleasant compared to that. And then we did the pilot, and I couldn't believe that. And then we did 13 episodes. I couldn't believe that. And then we got picked up for the back 9, and I still can't believe our good luck. So, and the episodes are getting better and better. I don't mean that they started off badly, because I always thought the scripts were always fun, and I really enjoyed reading the scripts as they would come in each week, and it was. It was like a little present at the end of the week that I'd have this script to read. And I have 2 kids. I have a 20-year-old and I have a 13-year-old. And I'd let them see the script, and I could hear them chuckling in separate rooms of the house. So I thought, well, that's a good sign. And I think the writers we've got a room full of very smart, very pleasant people who seem to be writing really well for the characters involved. And I think, we're lucky enough to have some really, really good actors. I think Lenny is fantastic, and Jamie and Tokes. And of course Tim and Clara, and our kids are just, we have some really talented people in the rooms, and I think the writers are writing really well for them. So long may it continue, is what I feel.
Well, I agree. We tune in every week, and it's hilarious. It's one of our favorite shows, and just like the comedic timing is just perfect, and just the way the show is laid out and the characters, like you said, it's just phenomenal. From our perspective, it's great.
Oh, well, I'm so glad to hear you say that. I mean, I've started tweeting. I'm not very good at it. I usually press the wrong button or don't put a hashtag on or something stupid. But it's very interesting trying to get some kind of feedback from what people are getting from the show, and some people seem to be really responding to it. And I read the scripts, and I think they're fantastic. I think they're really funny, and I think the end results are really good. And we've got a couple of episodes coming up which we're really proud of. You probably know about it, but we're doing a musical episode which Alan Menken wrote a couple of songs for, and I saw Dan a couple of days ago, and he very proudly bought a sort of rough cut of the musical episode, a DVD, and we looked at it, and it was so much fun. I mean, we were all like giddy school children when we got the script, and the songs and everything else, and then to see it all kind of finalized, and it's 22 minutes of sitcom television, and we've got this big Broadway number. We've got like 20 dancers. It's so much fun. So I can't wait for people to see that, and I just hope that they enjoy it as much as I did, because I think it's really good.
Oh, I think so, and it must not be a job for you, because this sounds like so much fun. It's not work. It's not fair.
I know. I keep pinching myself. It's a good day at work. Every time I go, I set off in the morning to drive over to Burbank. I can't believe it. We really lucked out. Sometimes as an actor, you kind of hold your nose and do a job because, that's what we do. But this certainly isn't one of them. And we're all, I think, to a man, we're all very proud of the show. We all really want it to do well. So, it isn't a day at work. It is fun. You're absolutely right.
And it kind of ends too fast. Like, you get so addicted to the episode, it's like, no, we have to wait till next week.
I know. Well, it is. Well, 22 minutes. I think we cram a lot in. Yeah. And we filmed the last episode, episode 22, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think we finished about the end of January. And we had George Takei and Mark Hamill and about a bunch of kind of stormtrooper aliens and a sort of spaceship special effect, and I just thought, it doesn't get much better than this. It was so much fun. So what was really good, you always feel as an actor, whatever you're doing, that it's kind of a roll of the dice. You just sort of follow your instincts and hope that it's going to work out. And but I really felt that we finished on a high. The last 2 or 3 episodes were so much fun, so much fun to make that I'm just hoping that people respond to them.
Oh, I agree, absolutely. Is there a guest star that you would like to see on the show in particular?
Oh boy. Well, we had Stacy Keach, and he played Lenny's dad, and I think Lenny had a little hand in that. I know. I'd worked with Stacy Keach on something else a long time ago, and he's one of those actors. He's a real heavyweight and a gentleman, and has done everything in his career brilliantly. He has a career which spans 30 or 40 years, something like that. I hope I'm not doing him a disservice. And he's done everything. So it was lovely to see him on there. I don't know, I think we've had weird and wonderful guest stars. We had Sandra Bernhardt. I didn't get to meet her. She plays a driving instructor in an upcoming episode where the aliens are learning to drive with varying degrees of success. And I think that's going to be fun. I mean, of course, George Takei and Mark Hamill is quite a sort of sci-fi scoop. Something for everyone there. I don't know. Who would you like to see on the show?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. See, I'd like to base the person kind of alien related, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone who's done something kind of along those lines. I don't know anyone at the top of my head, though.
I mean, our show is kind of out there, so it's quite fun having guests who are a little out there too. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's something unusual about it.
Exactly. Maybe William Shatner?
Ah, wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
The great Shatner. I'd love that.
Yes.
We could swap hair tips.
That would be great.
We could swap hair product. We could start spraying each other's hair.
Right.
It would be fantastic.
So you need to mention this to the writers and kind of make that happen.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all over it. I'm sure they've thought of these things before both of us.
Exactly.
I don't know what they've got planned after this. I mean, we're just hoping that we get a season 2 out of it. It would be just great, but you never know with these things.
Yes, fingers crossed, because we want to see it more than anything.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Do you have a favorite episode that you've filmed thus far?
I guess if I'm honest, I really liked the Country Club episode. That was a favorite of mine because I got to stand up for white people, which I thought was wonderful. Because those poor white people need so much help. I like that a lot. I like the Christmas episode. I'm very excited about the driving one, and I'm as I said, I think I'm too excited about the musical one. It was quite a thrill, and Tim, he's such a great guy, sweetheart, very smart, and so talented. He's a singer very much in his own right. He has a really sweet voice. So in the musical episode, he gets to sing a love song to Giselle. I don't want to give too much away, but he's so good in it. He's really solid. He's absolutely fantastic.
Well, we're excited for this episode that you're telling us about. It sounds great.
Oh, I think so. As I said, I'm so proud of the stuff, the work that we've done. It's just, I just hope people respond to it.
Exactly. We just recently watched the episode where they gave you a makeover to make you a 10. That was funny.
It was. I know. I think it was sort of. I mean, I think I liked it when the bouncer said, "You look like Ellen DeGeneres."
Exactly.
And then I thought I looked a bit like Sally Jessy Raphael. Do you remember her? She had those outrageous red glasses, and she'd always had this kind of weird haircut. Right. I thought I looked a bit like her too.
Exactly.
It was like a kind of blonde Bieber wig, and then somebody else described it as kind of like a tan dandy Warhol. It was like, I think it was like a Rorschach test for people's favorite, hairy celebrity. It was fun.
Right. Well, you ended up being a 10.
Thank you very much. I know. And I know the episode when I was wearing the night dress. I know my kids, I think, were hugely embarrassed with their poor dad after that one. But,
all part of the acting job.
Exactly. You've got to take the rough with the smooth, right?
Right, exactly. So very cool. So then also, would you say you relate to your character at all in any way or?
Yeah, I think if you ask my family, they'd probably say there's a lot of Larry in me and a lot of me in Larry. Yeah, I really like the character. I thought what Dan had written, this kind of insane leader of this doomed mission, was there was always something very touching about it, because he felt completely out of his depth and unable to deal with the situation that he found himself in. And I mean, I can sort of relate to that as somebody who moved to America when I was a little older. I always felt that I didn't quite fit in. And sometimes I still feel that. I think if I get nervous in a store or something, I'll go back to all these kind of all this English stuff, and people look at me completely baffled. So in that sense, yes, I can relate to the character, I think.
Well, do you have any traditions or anything that you do in England that you brought here to America that you still do?
Not so much. I know actors are very superstitious, aren't they? And there are lots of sort of acting superstitions, but no, I have to say I sometimes listen to BBC Radio 4 in my dressing room. I have it on my phone. So just in case I lose the accent, And I don't know, I mean, I know there were reasons why Larry Bird spoke with an English accent, but it was never, when it was in the original pilot, it was barely sort of referred to. And when I was cast in it, I don't know if, it never said that Larry Bird speaks with an English accent. So, but somehow it just seemed to kind of work. That he was, I think it also sort of it showed that he was, there was something kind of different about him anyway. It was all a little bit off. Everything was just a little bit off, a little bit wrong, not quite right.
Exactly, it defines his character though perfectly. You can't take it away now. No.
I don't think so, no. And that's all I can do. So we really have no choice, which I'm happy to say.
Exactly. And also, I was going to ask you, do you believe in aliens? Do you think there's some sort of alien forms out there somewhere?
Well, what was it? I was listening to something it was probably on BBC Radio 4, and it was about quantum physics, and that if, without getting too high-flown about it, I certainly went right over my head, but that if the universe is infinite, then it stands to reason that there's a parallel universe just the same as ours. So somewhere out there in that infinite universe, somebody else is having the same conversation as us, Athena, right at this very second.
Wow, we're being mimicked and mirrored at the same moment right now. This is
Exactly. I mean, isn't that scientific reason? If there are infinite possibilities, then it can only be true, I assume. So, yeah, that's a pretty wooey-woo scientific statement. So, yeah, I guess in that sense, I suppose I do, but I've never witnessed one.
I think we're better off that way at the moment. I think so. I think I'd get scared if I came across one.
Although I think our aliens are quite benign, you know, they're well-intentioned aliens, which is nice. George Takei is he's also an alien. He makes an appearance in the last episode, and he seems a little grouchy. Let me put it that way.
Oh, okay. And then also we were going to ask you a little bit about your voiceovers that you do. How'd you get started doing that?
Well, I sort of stumbled across it when I was in England as an actor in England. I did a lot of theatre, and I did a lot of like classical theatre, Shakespeare stuff like that. And then when I came out here, I found myself doing a lot of television, and it just sort of became available to me. There was a friend of mine who was a producer on commercials, and she said, "Oh, you should try it." So I went in and put some copy down and somebody signed me up, and I was so glad I did, because it's as an actor, it's nice to do. I find anyway, it's nice to do everything. You know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, rather than doing exclusively one thing. It's great to do a bunch of different sort of disciplines. And this whole gaming world kind of opened up just as I was sort of doing the voiceover things. And I think a lot of those gaming things require English actors to scream into a microphone for a few hours, and I was very happy to do that. So I've done a bunch of games, and they're always fun because the people who work on them are always so pleasant. They've usually been slaving over these things for 5 years, so they, writing the sort of the script and the story, the synopsis and everything else. So, when they finally get to meet the actor who plays the characters in their scripts, they're usually so pleased and relieved that, they're not writing the darn thing. It's usually a pleasure to do. And some of them, I think, like Mass Effect, I know that people seem to really like that one. That was a lot of fun. I've just done one called Dead Space 3, which was a bit sort of scary, stuck on a spaceship in a dystopian universe somewhere. I've done a bunch, and I do really enjoy them. They're funny, but it's not a world that I know, that whole kind of gaming world. I mean, I think if I started playing them, I probably wouldn't come out of my room for about a week, so I daren't, go there. And it's such a big deal now. It's just, I mean, movies and video games seem to be, they're kind of coming together. There will be a sort of meeting point at some stage. And then there's all this motion capture stuff, which is a whole other world, which I know they've started to do a lot more of. And I think it is getting more and more sophisticated and better to look at than it did at the beginning. When it first started, it was a bit sort of clunky and, kind of clumsy. But now, as the technology's advanced, I think the end product is much more sort of sophisticated, which is exciting, I think.
Exactly. And I was going to ask you, how long does it take for you to do the voiceovers for the video games? How long is that process? Usually what happens is you get booked for like a 4-hour session. They kind of rattle through them. You do them really quick. So it's as an actor, it's quite nice because you're sort of flying by the seat of your pants. It's very much sort of instinct. And sometimes as actors, our first instincts are the best ones. So you kind of get into a groove. It's fun. So it's a short 4-hour session normally. The one we did on Dead Space 3, we had a few days in the motion capture studio, so there were a couple of days there. I think I did about 3 or 4 sessions
doing voiceovers. But that was a pretty lengthy one. Normally, you just get booked for an afternoon or a morning somewhere, and you just rattle through it, which, as I say, is a lot of fun.
Very cool. Interesting. Is there anything you want to really do, like as an actor, like a big movie, or does anything like that do you want to do?
I've never been one of those actors who said, "This is the part that I want to play," or "This is that sort of movie I want to do." I think part of the pleasure of being an actor, and I've certainly experienced it with this show, is that you really don't know what's coming up, and there's something really exciting and wonderful about that. Sometimes it could be a protracted period of unemployment, or it might be a great job like this. So what's wonderful about this show is that it's reminded me that really good things can happen, and when they do, is to make the most of them. And actors, dancers and artists, I suppose, have this, the same kind of thing. Some actors are the one casting themselves. A wonderful English actor called Alec Guinness, who's absolutely brilliant, who's in Star Wars, of course, and had a great classical theatre career in England, and did a bunch of great movies and films. And when he was asked his favourite part, he mentioned a role. I thought it was the best performance of his career, but it was his favourite. And I think it was because it was so far away from who he is and his personality. It was a very tough Glaswegian soldier, and Alec Guinness couldn't have been further from that. But this was his favourite film portrayal, and it was one of his least successful. So actors can be terrible at casting themselves, even great ones like Sir Alec Guinness.
Exactly. So like you said, you can't really predict what you're going to be in.
That's part of the pleasure of being an actor. It's part of the torment too, is that you really don't know what's around the corner. You don't know if it's good or bad. But I guess if one's getting philosophical, none of us do. It's just amplified as an actor. I think that's what makes us difficult to live with, But my wife is an actress too, so she probably understands it as better than anybody else, I'm happy to say.
Well, it's nice you guys share the same passion in acting, that you both have the same dream.
Yeah, it's nice. I think, it can get a little crazy because, as I said, you never really know what's coming up. But hopefully actors can understand the other's obsession. Do you know what I mean? Because we're an odd breed.
Well, tell us, do you have something we may not know about you? Anything we can learn about you?
Well, I'm learning to play guitar, which is a very sad confession for somebody as old as me. But it doesn't stop me from trying. I have to go and disappear into a quiet corner of the house, get away from my kids and my family, otherwise I wouldn't torment them with my guitar playing. But right now, that's one of my other obsessions, is trying to play the guitar.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Maybe you'll have to do one of those YouTube tutorials everyone can tune in and watch you.
Oh, yes. Don't do it like this.
Don't do it like this.
Yeah, it'd be a big hit. Yeah. See this guy? Don't do it like him. He's terrible.
Well, I'm sure it'll get a lot of hits.
I hope so. Let's see.
Exactly. And how about a prized possession? Do you have something you can't live without?
Tea, I think.
Tea.
Simple as that. I think my world would be a much duller place without tea in it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe coffee. I know, I can't function without it. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. But it's better than cigarettes and stuff like that, I guess.
Exactly. I agree. You're good with your tea and coffee. You're good. And how about a favorite fast food restaurant of yours? Do you have one?
Favorite fast food restaurant? Boy. Do you know, I haven't. I'll say In-N-Out Burger. They do a mean hamburger and a great chocolate milkshake. Mm-hmm. That would be my guilty pleasure.
Good choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
And also, so your Twitter, also everybody can follow you at, your username is what?
Templeman Simon.
Templeman Simon.
Hashtag Templeman Simon.
Okay. And do you have a favorite tweet that you've tweeted so far, that you've seen someone tweet to you?
No, there's a bunch of them on there. I think I favorited